Hi, I hope you're well this week. So, in this episode, we're talking about air filters. The original air filter is just kind of this very basic one solid piece of foam. Has a constant filtration. It has an equal porosity throughout. Since this engine needs to filter out a lot of dust for off-roading, or at least has the potential to, they try to make these very restrictive and not capable of flowing a lot of air through it, just so that they can make sure to catch all that dust and make sure that none of it gets in the engine, gets in the carburetor, and goes up and causes you problems. So there are basically two aftermarket options for air filters. And this one here is the most commonly bought, and it's the Twin Air filter. Twin Air is a brand. I know there are a few other companies that make a Twin Air filter, at least in the same sort of styling. It uses the same sort of foam design. However, instead of using one type of foam like this, where it's just constantly the same kind of foam going through with the same porosity, half of it is this more porous, more open foam, and then the other half is something around the density of this. Really not that complicated of technology, but what it does is it reduces the amount of energy that's required for the engine to pull air into the intake, into the carburetor. Not all particles are very small and need to be captured with this constant foam. A lot of large particles will get into the engine. So this works by first filtering out those, and then it only needs half of the area to filter out the smaller particles, making it use a lot less energy, say, well, maybe not a lot, but like 3/4 of the amount of energy. And really the only reason that Kawasaki doesn't go over to just using one of these, and it has nothing to do with patents or anything, it's just that this is twice as expensive, and maybe a 25% gain in airflow. Isn't really typically important for the 250s because this is designed to handle that. You will get some benefit, but when you're going up to a 350, you do need much more air, and this becomes incredibly more restrictive, so this is a good bet. Now, the third option is this K&N filter. Instead of using foam, it uses fiberglass surrounded with this chicken wire weave. And it's reusable just like these other two. Fiberglass is a much better material for filtering. It requires thinner material to filter out the same amount of particles. As you can see, it increases its surface area by using these contours, which, despite the fact that this has a plate on the end instead of just being open foam, it easily has 3 times as much surface area as this does. The disadvantage is that if any part were to get damaged due to its thinness, there's a much higher potential for failure and being able to get dirt in there. In the case of damage, if you were to scratch it. I don't think it's very likely. K&N says that if you put these on dual sports, then it invalidates their warranty. They do provide much more airflow than the original, and probably more than this as well. So depending on how you think, this might not be as good as filtering out dirt, I can't say for sure, but I do know that it works and it's fine off-road. It does have quite a bit of a different sound to it than the foam filter. It sounds more like a sucking rather than the typical noise. These work essentially the same, you oil them just the same. However, the K&N filter has to use different types of oil, because it uses this fiberglass. It's just a different sort of oil, different density, different properties. I'm actually surprised how clean it is. Now, I think I've only had it on for one off-roading trip, really. It doesn't really look dirty at all. This filter was on for a good 2,000 miles without being cleaned. As far as power increase goes, I can't really say for sure mathematically. I've been pretty good about calculating the other ones, but this one, I don't know. I know that it does make the engine feel better. I did have to go up a jet on the main jet for this, so it does increase performance, but I can't say mathematically how much. You will get some performance increase from either. It just depends on how dusty of an environment you're in, like how fine the dust is, and how much off-roading you do in that environment. If you are going and planning on doing like a week-long trip in Moab, get the Twin Air. But for most stuff, anything wet, I use a K&N. Especially if you're one of those who really pretty much only does road riding, I would recommend the K&N. Some people have difficulty getting on the K&N filter. The box has this indent for the rear mud flap. That tends to run into this plate here and make it difficult to get the filter underneath that lip. Times with the thing on Dirt Hog 365, I ended up just cutting off the ridge here just to make it so you could get on and off. So we put the filter in. It's all mashed up on that side because that's the side that was down before. There we go. Ah, I got it. Now I'm so good I can do it with just my hands. Okay, so that's me proving a point. You can get the filter on. So it is all solidly on there. All I have to do is just reach around and pull up.